What's going on, everybody? Welcome into a fresh hour of CBS Sports HQ. Our CBS Sports HQ training camp continues. We're bringing you live reports from Bucs camp and Lions camp today. So let's start with Tampa Bay. The Bucs coming off a 10-win regular season. They made the playoffs for a fifth straight season, ultimately losing in the wildcard round against the Commanders. Now the Bucs have been able to lock up the division for 4 straight years, and they are favored to take it once again. And we're going to get in and see the white creamsicle throwbacks as well, something we can look forward to. But in the meantime, let's welcome in Pete Prisco and Charles Davis, who are joining us from Bucs training camp. Good to see you guys. New season, new OC for the Bucs is something that we're kind of used to saying, right? We've said it time and time again, most recently because Liam Cohen is in Jacksonville over there. So, gentlemen, what is your feeling in this new offense here for Josh Grizzard?
Well, I think it's going to be a smooth transition. And talking to Baker Mayfield and some of the other people around this organization, they feel like he's a smart guy. I mean, he went to Harvard, so you know he's a smart guy. And he's kind of picked up the offense quickly. And the one concern is he's never called plays before anywhere, at any level. And so that is concerning. But Todd Bowles has given him a lot of periods where he's getting to call the plays, and he likes it, and he's been really good at it. So I don't think it's going to be a tough transition at all.
Yeah, I don't worry too much about those guys who never called plays before. Sean McVay never called plays, and he took over. Kevin O'Connell never called plays. He took over and did fine. I don't worry about that as much. All I'm concerned about with is the word continuity, and that's what they have in Tampa Bay. The staff is pretty similar. The players are very much similar to each other. They know the system. There may be a few names change in what they call and how they do it, but this is 1 year better in this offense, and they just continue to keep going, and Baker Mayfield is the ideal guy to lead this group.
Yeah, let's talk more about Baker entering his 3rd season with Tampa Bay. It's really incredible how he's revitalized his career there, and the Bucs GM coming out and saying he hopes Baker's going to stay in Tampa Bay for a long time. So, Charles, I'll come to you first here. Do you think Baker is ultimately going to get that long-term extension as he's set to become a free agent in 2027?
I certainly do, because I think that he's going to continue to play to that level. He had a magnificent season last year, Pete, and I think it's only going to get better because of all the things we talked about with this offense, plus the addition of a guy like Emeka Egbuka. I mean, they just continue to add pieces, get Tristan Wirfs back in the offensive line. Sky's the limit for Baker Mayfield and what he does. And if he does that, they have no choice, and they'll be happy to give him a big-time contract.
And they gave him some guaranteed money in 2026, but that's not what he's looking for. He's looking for that mega deal. And when you look down the pecking order of quarterbacks, he's one of the lowest-paid starting quarterbacks.
Did you go down the sheet and you just kept going?
I asked him about it, too, and he went, damn, Pete. He knows how low it is. He deserves to be paid a lot more. I think he's going to go out there. You mentioned 11 starters back. 11. Everybody's back. That doesn't happen in the National Football League. If Wirfs is back and Godwin's back, every single one is back from a year ago. That's a great situation. Baker Mayfield will put up big numbers, and I think he's ultimately going to get that big contract.
And Jacqueline, it's 11 starters back on an offense that went to the playoffs, won their division, and put up big numbers, especially down the stretch. This isn't 11 starters back on a bad team, and it doesn't mean anything. This is legitimate.
You mentioned some of the big names that are coming back, putting up big numbers on offense, and that brings us to Mike Evans, right? Because if there's one thing we know about Mike Evans, he's going to put up, 1,000 or more receiving yards coming off his 11th straight season of doing just that. So he can break this record. You see it here. He's tied with Jerry Jones for that NFL record, or Jerry Rice, excuse me. But Pete, do you think that he breaks that record this year?
Well, let's put it this way. When I talked to Baker in May, and I talked to him again today, the one thing he said is our offense is still running the ball and Mike Evans. Running the ball and Mike Evans. And this is after adding Egbuka and getting Chris Godwin back and all the pieces that they have, Bucky Irvin running the football. Mike Evans is the guy that makes the passing game go. He's a big physical presence. It's hard to cover him one-on-one, and when you do try and cover him one-on-one, he's going to make plays down the field. So I do think, you remember last year he was banged up a little bit.
Yeah.
He still got the record. I think if he's healthy and on the field, I think he's a smooth sailing to 1,000 yards.
Yeah, I just don't see it coming down to the wire again if he's healthy throughout. Had to get in the last game of the season, essentially, last year to get it done. That's not going to happen this time because Pete mentioned big and physical. The offensive line is. They're going to run the football with Bucky Irving, Rashad White, and crew. That will open things up for Mike Evans to get that 12th 1,000-yard season.
Guys, our Haley Sutton is going to Cowboys camp, so I was chatting with her earlier, and of course with Jerry Jones and everything coming out of his mouth around training camp, it is certainly top of mind. Let's talk about Emeka Egbuka. I know you guys already alluded to it a little bit. He is heading into his rookie season, and of course Baker Mayfield, being the guy that he is hyping him up, saying he's an absolute stud out at training camp. But what have you guys seen from him out at camp so far?
Well, I think, well, I'll just start with it. Everything that we expected to see, and probably then some. Because, Pete, I think what happens when we evaluate receivers when they're coming out in the draft, we have the outside receivers with the big frames and the willowy running and all that, and then we have the guys that are the slot receivers. Well, you and I both know no one fits into a box as easily as they used to, right? Used to be a slot receiver, was a little water bug guy, and outside it was this. Egbuka can move around, but he's going to do most of his damage from inside in the slot. That's where he works really well. And that's why he didn't go as the top of the line with the receivers. When it's all said and done, though, with his intelligence, route running, toughness, ball skills, he could very well be the best receiver in this draft.
Baker Mayfield was raving about him in May. He was raving about him again today. The front office staff, Jason Light, the GM, they're all raving about him because he knows how to play every position. It's tough for a guy to step in as a rookie and learn one position. He's learned all of them. And ideally, I think when they get Godwin back, he'd probably be the guy that operates on the interior. But he can go outside and do his damage out there. I think he's in for a big, big season. Baker Mayfield says he's one of the smartest rookies he's ever been around in his entire career. That's impressive.
Yeah, he's got that FBI, as they call it, football intelligence.
Guys, let's go to the other side of the ball and let's talk about defense, because down the stretch of the regular season, we kept talking about, the injury bug. They were really banged up on defense, and of course they address that side of the ball. They get Hassan Reddick in the offseason. They draft a pair of corners in the first and second round of the draft. Unfortunately, some news coming out. David Walker, their fourth-round edge rusher, tore his ACL on Friday. But Pete, I'll come to you first. As a whole, with all of that in mind, how are you feeling about the defense there in Tampa Bay?
It'll be much better. And you talk about a team that got faster. And when you look at this team, last year they weren't really that fast. Well, they're faster because they drafted Benjamin Morrison. He's going to be a starter. I think he's going to actually win a job. He's going to end up winning a starting job. Jacob Parrish, everybody raves about him as the slot corner. He's been impressive. I think moving Tyke Smith to safety is going to improve the speed back there. They also get when you get Savasier Dennis back at linebacker, he's one of the best cover linebackers in the league. He'll help them there. They were really deficient in that area a year ago. Add it all up, it's going to be a much better defense. And here's a name, by the way. I'm going to give you a Pro Bowl, All-Pro name. Kalijah Kancey supposedly has been unblockable at times. You play next to Vita Vea, he's got to take up a lot of bodies to occupy him. Kalijah Kancey's going to get some one-on-one looks. He's going to dominate from the interior.
And if you have that dominating in the interior, Hassan Reddick's got a chance to go back and show people that he's still got it coming off of the edge, because you get a lot more one-on-one opportunities rushing the quarterback.
And he's playing for the money.
Oh, really? Is that a motivating thing? I had no idea.
It's always a motivating.
I thought it's just love for the game.
Win? No.
No, I thought it was love for the game.
You always know it's money.
Guys, I want to follow up about Hassan Reddick, because sure, money is a motivator, and we know, the whole drama and the situation. Only played 2 games for the Jets last season. But Charles, is that a guy that they can count on with maybe some added motivation this go around for the Bucs?
They certainly believe that they can. And listen, things happen with different teams for different reasons, and then it doesn't happen with other places. And Pete, you just mentioned he's playing for a contract. He's playing for that opportunity to make even more money. Plus, I think he spent the last year plus hearing all the things that have come out, because when he left Philadelphia, there's a lot of discussion that, hey, that locker room didn't mind him going. That's okay. Then he pretty much sits out the Jet season. Back here in Tampa, had success before. Here's his opportunity. I think this is a great opportunity for him.
And he wasn't around for a lot of the OTA stuff. And I can tell you this, the organization wasn't concerned one bit. When he came from minicamp, he was in great shape. When he came here for training camp, he's in great shape. And obviously, he should be, because he is playing for a contract. If he can give them that edge pass rush, and you have to account for him, that will help open up the other guys, particularly Diaby. Yaya Diaby is a big big-time pass rusher, but he didn't get the quarterback on the ground enough last year. He would get to the quarterback, not get him on the ground. I think having Reddick on the other side will help Diaby. I bet you his sack numbers go up a great deal.
And, Pete, don't you think it helps being in the NFC South where the offensive tackle play can be suspect for some of the other rosters? So this really helps him in a big way if he comes off the line of scrimmage well.
Let's get to the NFC South because the Bucs, they're the favorites to win the division. They're win the title for a 5th straight time. Charles, Levante David was in studio, and Pete and I spoke with him. And, Pete, you had said, you guys got the division. You're pretty confident. So what do you think, Pete? Is it a fifth time a charm? Are they going to do it again when you think of the other teams and the additions that we're seeing with those teams in the NFC South?
Yes, and it's not just winning the division for this team. They've done that, been there, right? I mean, it's 4 straight years. This team is built to do a lot more, and I think they're going to be dangerous in the NFC. You know, people are sleeping on the Bucs. You know, talk about teams in the NFC. You always hear the Eagles and the Lions and you know, other teams, but you don't hear in Washington. You don't hear about the Bucs, and people are making a mistake on that. Why? It's a great mix of young and old. There's, you know, you have Levante David, who's a veteran player, and then you have Savase Dennis, who's a young player. I mean, you have a great mix of young and old across the board, and I think that's where you have to be in this league to compete, and I'm excited about what I've seen from this team.
Yeah, and I'll make it very simple. They've won the division 4 straight years, but in each one of those seasons, everyone else in the division thought they had their chance and missed an opportunity. I think they missed some really great opportunities because this team is the best one out of the group for Tampa Bay. And I'm more convinced this year that Tampa's the NFC South champs going in than any of the years before when they absolutely won the division. So it's going to be fun to watch this play out.
And one last thing, by the way, about that. You get the impression talking to Todd Bowles and Baker Mayfield and everybody else, they think they're good.
Yeah, they
really do. You know, sometimes you don't get that feeling when you come around a team. Oh, we don't want to say that. They feel like they're a good team, and that's usually a pretty good sign.
Yeah, bottom line, they made a lot of moves in the draft and free agency. They weren't just to win the division. They were to take dead aim at teams they might have to play in the playoffs. Talk about Philadelphia and Washington and teams of that nature. Some of those moves were made bigger than just winning the division because they have big aspirations in mind here in Tampa.
All right, y'all, you heard it here first. Don't sleep on the Bucs. Pete, Charles, we certainly appreciate it. Great stuff coming out of Bucs training camp. Stay cool out there. The guys are going to be heading to Jacksonville as well tomorrow. But getting a look at the Bucs schedule in the meantime, they kick things off. We were talking about the division with their divisional foes in the Falcons week 1, and then they get the Texans in prime time on week 2.